folks, welcome back to my channel, and this is my February book haul. I was a little bit bad in February in that I acquired 20 books, I think, although one was a library book, so that will not count. But I did read 10, but there was a special reason why I acquired 20, really. So we'll start with the stuff that I've already talked about a bit, because there was a bunch of comics that I acquired for the Getting Graphic Readathon. And of course there was my Our Crate book as well, which is already in an unboxing. So they're all mentioned in other videos. But, you know, I'll start with this one. This is the library one, which is Ms. Marvel Volume 5, Super Famous by G. Willow Wilson. And so it's the continuing adventures of Ms. Marvel. Lumberjanes Volume 1, which is by Stevenson and Ellis, Beware the Kitten Holy. This is about a bunch of girls who are on summer camp and weird things keep happening. And Princess Leia, Star Wars by Waid and Dodson. And this is the story of Princess Leia after the first movie as she tries to gather the remaining Alderaanians. I also picked up digitally 3 comics. I picked up Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur Volume 1, which is about a 9-year-old girl who is bored at school and a genius, and she meets a dinosaur. It's a thing. I also picked up issue 1 of The Unstoppable Wasp, which is about a teenage girl who's a genius who decides that she's going to have awesome fun times with other girl geniuses. And I picked up, hang on, the last one was Ladycastle volume, issue 1, which is a fairy tale retelling without the men. So those comics I have previously mentioned. And the other thing I have previously mentioned that I picked up in February is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is a YA book to do with circuses and magic. Yeah, like I said, there's an Our Crate unboxing. So, you know, check that out if you're interested in this book more. Yeah, so that's 7 of the 20 things I acquired. Now, the reason that I acquired 20 things is because February is one of the months that has a Lifeline Book Fair in Canberra. The Lifeline Book Fair happens about twice a year, I think, and it's a charity thing, and it's this massive, massive sale of secondhand books. And so I hadn't been for a while, so I decided to go. And at the Lifeline Book Fair, I acquired 10 items of various things, but I only spent like $30, which for Australia, 10 books for $30 is awesome. So yeah, a whole bunch of secondhand stuff. So I have some poetry. I have selected poems by Mevlana, Jalaluddin, Rumi. They're translated poems from, I believe, Afghanistan in like the 12th or 13th century or something. It was random. I don't know what it'll be like, but I picked that up. I also picked up a volume of poetry by Robert Burns, so it's Scottish poetry. So his selected poems. And to round out my poetry purchases, I picked up this, which is by Hazel Smith, and it's called Word Migrants. And I believe it's a fairly contemporary collection of poetry and a lot to do with immigration and stuff like that, I think. And civil war and contemporary political and social issues. So that could be really interesting. So that was the 3 volumes of poetry I picked up at the Lifeline Book Fair. So, the other things that I picked up. Wicked by Gregory Maguire. Now, I'm aware of the stage show. I haven't seen it yet, but I love some of the music that I have heard. So this is, of course, the prequel to The Wizard of Oz about the 2 witches, Glinda and, I'm trying to remember, it's Glinda and Athoba, I think. Don't quote me on how to pronounce it. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so it's the story of the young witches learning to be witches, I believe, and being friends and not friends and that whole thing. So I've been interested in picking this up for a while, so I'm glad I found a secondhand copy. I also picked up a copy of Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. This is one of the Poirot novels. The David Suchet version is one of my favourite of the Poirots on television. I have read this before, but not for a long time. When I was at university, I in my last year, I actually went through and read every single Marple and every single Poirot, which does not mean I've read every single Agatha Christie, because there are a lot of Agatha Christies without those two characters. But Lifeline book fairs are a really good place to get hold of Agatha Christie's. So this is the one that I picked up this time, Death on the Nile, which is, you know, an adventure down the Nile River, and of course people die and Poirot investigates. Next up, I picked up Chinese Cinderella and the Secret Dragon Society by Adeline Yan Ma. So I believe the author has written another book which is called Chinese Cinderella, and I believe it's semi-autobiographical but kind of fantastical as well. So it says, when Chinese Cinderella is thrown out of her home by her cruel stepmother onto the dangerous streets of Shanghai, she takes refuge with Grandma Wu in her martial arts academy. There she becomes part of a whole new family, making friends with 3 remarkable boy acrobats and learning kung fu. One day, the 4 children embark on a secret mission that changes their lives and the course of history forever. So, you know, I pretty much picked this up because of the fact that it's set in China and it sounds like it's by a Chinese author or a migrant author. So it could be interesting, and it will fit with my whole read more widely thing. So Chinese Cinderella and the Secret Dragon Society. I also picked up A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. I vaguely heard this name in some areas of BookTube. She's a YA author, and it looks to me like it's sort of historical and supernatural in a girls' school, Spence Academy, a boarding school, romantic and adventurous, and there's the supernatural and a mystery. So it looks kind of interesting. It's YA, so I thought I'd give it a go. Now this one was actually on one of my wish lists. This is Lady Jane Grey, a Tudor mystery by Eric Ives. So it's a history book. It's a non-fiction book about Lady Jane Grey, who I'm kind of obsessed by. She's one of my favourite historical characters, and has been for a very long time. So it's, you know, investigating what Jane was really like. I mean, according to the back, the author rejects the traditional portraits of Jane and has a look at what else she might have been like. So instead he presents her as an accomplished young woman with a fierce personal integrity. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. This is another one I picked up completely via whim, and it is called Unbowed, One Woman's Story by, and excuse me if I mispronounce this, Wangari Maathai. She's a winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. She's from Kenya. And, like, I'd never heard of her, but she sounds like just the kind of woman that I want to know about. And so I picked the book up because, you know, why not? Secondhand book, awesome woman from a part of the world that I don't read much about. So, yeah, expanding my knowledge again. And the final book I picked up at the Lifeline Book Fair is another history book, and it's by Alison Weir, who I understand is a very popular history writer. And this is about Isabella, She-Wolf of France, Queen of England. I picked this up mainly, I mean, I had an Alison Weir book on my list, but it wasn't this one. But Isabella is one of the characters that is in the TV documentary series She-Wolves, about female queens of England. And so she's one of the ones that married an English king and basically tried to take the throne herself eventually in the name of her son. So yeah, awesome. I'm really looking forward to this one because, you know me, I love my English queens who do awesome things. So yeah, so that's what I acquired at the book fair. And then because I'd already bought so many books this month and already ruined my goal of reading more than I bought, although I got halfway there, I ended up at the end of the month buying a few more things. And they were another comic. I bought volume 2 of Lumberjanes, Friendship to the Max, which is again by Stevenson and Ellis. So yeah, the continuing adventures of the Lumberjanes as they have their various adventures, supernaturally inclined adventures at their summer camp, and continue to be friends and just generally awesome. So I'm looking forward to picking this up soon. I also picked up this very gorgeous book. I mean, look at it. It just looks like one of those old-fashioned books, and it's really amazing. But it's an anthology called The Starlit Wood, and it's edited by Dominik, Parisien and Nile Wolf. I'd heard about this because it's a Saga Press anthology that was published last year, and they did a little thing with Uncanny Magazine, and one of the stories from it by Amal Amatar was republished in Uncanny Magazine. And basically, it says on the back, once upon a time, in the desert, in a tower, on a spaceship, in the other country. For centuries, storytellers have crafted timeless tales that have always found a place in our hearts. Here, a new generation of critically acclaimed, award-winning writers have taken up their mantle and shaped traditional and extraordinary fairy tales into something startling and electrifying. From castles to canyons, from a post-human landscape to a pixelated dungeon, from the far future to fantastical realms, The Starlit Wood transforms 18 stories you thought you knew and takes you on a journey at once unexpected and familiar across time, space, and amazing new worlds. So, you know, fairy tales retold in new situations and new ways, totally my kind of thing. So when I saw it on the bookshelf in the store, I was like, yes, no, I need to pick this up because it's gorgeous and it's fairy tale based and it's full of authors that I love, like Sean Maguire and Aliette de Bodard and Catherine M. Valenti, you know. So I was like, yeah, no, need to pick this up. And the final book that I bought in February was Star Wars Aftermath Life Debt by Chuck Wendig. This is the second in the Star Wars Aftermath trilogy. I read the first one in December and really enjoyed it. So this is the continuing adventures of Wedge Antilles and his, I think Wedge is in it, and Nora Wexley, and Leia and Han and Chewbacca are all in this one. So it should be really exciting. Looking forward to it. So those were the 20 odd books I acquired in February, hopefully for me and for my bank account, and for my challenge. March will be a bit less, a few less acquisitions, and I will see you again next week with my wrap up of the 10 things that I did actually complete reading in February. Yes. So I will see you then. Bye.